So I want to talk about accessories tonight. This isn't necessarily about, how to make your engine go faster, or camshafts, or superchargers, even though I showed one. These are the parts that, because of the value of the expenditure, would make you think the car either looks cooler or goes faster, right? What I wanted to do for the longest time, I ended up with a relatively complete set of Road and Track magazines. From the first one, although the first two or three were copies that Road and Track sold, so you could make your collection complete. I think they were on Ditto, something like that. Anyway, um, I wanted to go through all of those and find all the cool stuff. Sometimes, all these little cottage industries, they might only appear there for a month or 3 months, and it might be a luggage carrier for your TD or TC, might be a Continental kit for an MGA, might be a sterling silver ashtray. Remember when people smoked? For your TD, or a MG crested a grab handle that you could screw into your MG to actually help you get in and out. The MGA made that part of the windscreen. That handle there's pretty handy when you're entering and exiting, and also when you're trying to push the car. You actually got something you can grab a hold of and pull. But I never did that. I sold the whole set to Marty Boyson, who lives in Holland, Michigan. Maybe someday, maybe someday, I'll go over there with a scanner and start scanning. So many years ago, I thought I'd put together an octagon catalog. Remember the Whole Earth catalog? I still have mine, the last Whole Earth catalog, which was nothing more than a bunch of advertisements that have been copied and reprinted. So I thought I'll try it in octagon catalog. Like, doesn't matter what it is. So I made a big deal about it in one of my newsletters really early on. This is probably 1980 or 82 or something or other. And two people sent in advertisements that they'd seen for, I don't know, octagonal dinner plates, or I don't know, octagonal lamps or something or other. It wasn't enough. And I just hazarded upon one the other night, and I thought how fascinating it would be. And I'm putting the call out to someone who has nothing else to do in their life and would like to collect advertisements with MGs in them. Now, you can't have an MG advertisement sold, like advertising an MG for sale. No, it's got to be you're selling tools. The reason I thought of this is I'm looking for a place to store a couple of cars around Grand Rapids. Of course, it's too late in the season to find a good place that's not already snowed in. We got 10 and a half inches. That was the official count day before yesterday. So everything's all white and we have gray skies. Here comes our 3 months of winter in Michigan. But I was looking for someone who had still had some space in their garage, and I came upon an advertisement with a four-post lift that you could put in your garage, put one car on top and park one car underneath. And in the ad, there was a TD on the hoist and an MGA parked underneath. I don't know whose ad it was. It didn't pay a whole lot of attention. But I thought how cool that would be to go through and find all the advertisements you could through all the years. How would you even find them and put them all together in one place? There were some shoe advertisements. I had those hanging at the shop, and there was a advertisement. Kira Knightley, is that an actress? She was campaigning maybe to get votes for a movie, or I don't know, it was in some screen magazine. Here she is sitting behind the steering wheel of an MGA. So it was that kind of stuff that I was kind of fascinated about. But it's my fantasy. I'll stop now. I want to talk more about accessories. So I'm just going to go through some here and then we'll open it up and everybody can talk about accessories that they either have or have seen, used and discarded, whatever. So on the engine, I mean, help me out. Usually, about the only accessory that you can get on an engine is an aluminum valve cover. Rocker box. In England, they're coffin boxes because they're eight-sided. Rocker boxes. And the aluminum rocker boxes are really cool, as long as, I mean, once they're polished up. Saw them on T-types. Sometimes they're plain, sometimes they're finned, sometimes they've got an MG into them. If you take your time and you take it off your car, you can match, you can paint in the center of the MG and down the middle of the flutes of all the fins. I don't expect that's going to impair the idea that perhaps it might get rid of a little bit of extra heat. T-types had these on the side cover. The T-type engine has a side cover, great big, great big plate with a great big cork gasket, and the oil draft tube exits from. And so they're the aftermarket side covers, some with little crested MG vents on them, and they look cool, but they restrict the they restrict the flow of the gases coming out of the engine. So I've seen more than one engine rebuilt simply because of a valve cover that didn't vent and someone misdiagnosed a faulty ring problem, a lot of smoking out of the engine. On the cooling, you can argue that the Ken Low fans that you might put out in front of your radiator, those are kind of accessories. You can argue that they actually do something or not. Or the fan shroud sold for the MGA that goes around the cooling fan. To me, looking at the front of it, it looks just like a way to impede airflow, but it depends on what type of driving you're doing. So on the fuel side, you've got a whole host of cool chrome air cleaners. Oh my gosh, all kinds of cool stuff for MGAs and T types or Bs, with a real thick things, and they've got a big MG embossed on them. In almost every case, they detract from the power of the engine. They don't let more air in. They look cool. Hey, I'll give you that. They look cool, but they don't do as good of a job as the original air cleaner. I hazarded upon a Paddy Hopkirk throttle pedal that would bolt on to my MGA. Oh man, was that cool or what? So I loaned it to a guy who made up a bunch of copies. Moss had them for sale for a long time. I had it on my MGA. My wife came home one day after having driven my MGA and gave me a tongue lashing because her foot had gotten caught on it. She said, "I didn't know you put that on there." Anyway, so I guess you can make a case that the Paddy Hopkirk little extra pad about that big on an MGA, which allows you to tow and heel, isn't as safe as others might think. When you come to the gear shift, there are a whole host of different knobs that you can get. The original knobs are almost always the best, not always. And any knob that is a walnut knob, nice wooden knob, oh my gosh, they look so nice with an MG crest in it. Of course, they take that same knob and put a Triumph crest and a Healy crest in them too, or good grief, a Sunbeam crest. And the original ones were threaded, but because there's a whole host of different threads, the MGA is a metric thread, 8 by 1.0, and then the MGB, which is a 5/16 coarse, and then we finally end up with a, I don't know, 7/16 20 thread on the late model MGBs. Anyway, because there's so many different ones, the manufacturer just infuses the inside of the knob with a piece of rubber, puts a hole in it, and wants you to screw it on. And if you're careful, it goes on, but after a while, it gets loose. If you have a wooden gear shift knob, that actually does have a thread in it, and you put it on, expect gearbox noise to double or treble or quadruple. They're it's just the way it is. They really transmit a lot of noise. To keep it from um, acting as a sounding board and amplifying noise in the cockpit of the car, you can squirt silicone gasket goo up inside the knob and then screw it on. Put in too much, screw it on too far, that nice little crest pops off because of the compression of the goo. But just put some in there. That sometimes help. It helps if you want to have a wooden gear shift knob. Wheels on the car. Oh my gosh, there was a there was a Saab that had the same wheel pattern, and it isn't just the 4.5 inch pattern. A lot of different cars have got that, but the wheel has to sit correctly in the wheel arch, or else it rubs the inside of the wheel arch or rubs the outside of the tire off as it gets gouged against the sheet metal that's bent at the outside of the wheel arch. So I think maybe there was a Toyota wheel too that people use, but you can get all kinds of um, aluminum wheels. And you can make a case for them too because they're lighter, and a lighter wheel affords you faster, quicker acceleration. Imagine that you're walking around all day with 10 pounds of weight on each foot, and then you take that 10 pounds off and you can almost fly. Remember, that's what the high school basketball players used to use in high school, strapping those lead weights around their feet. Same thing with the wheels on the car. If you got to accelerate the all that weight that's in the wheel, you're going to be slower accelerating than if the wheel is lighter. That's why they went from a wire wheel to a disc wheel for the TD, because the disc wheel is lighter and stronger than the wire wheel. But nothing, nothing exudes British sports car feel like wire wheels. I mean, come on. But if you're not into wire wheels and you've got some kind of aftermarket wheel, you can certainly go for the alloy wheels that are available. Steering wheels. I just helped a guy here in town sell his MG. He had a Nardi, Nardi, maybe, a Nardi steering wheel on it. And I think he said his girlfriend at the time, like 30 years ago or 40 years ago, paid $600 something for the steering wheel. Does it look cool? Yeah, especially if you paid 600 bucks for it. It looks super cool. At least it does to you. And some people get smaller wheels. Hardly anybody ever gets a larger wheel. Remember, the larger the steering wheel, the less the steering effort. So there's no point in going from a TD wheel, which is like that wide, down to a little tiny thing that you'd use on a go-kart. It's I'm a fan of the original sized wheels, but there's certainly a lot of good-looking aftermarket steering wheels. Then we get into electrics, and you might choose to install a chimsel on your car. I got to read this off. CHMSL, center high mount stoplight, right on the top of your boot or on the luggage rack on your T-type, or behind somehow supported by the steering the wheel. A wheel rack on your TC or your TD or TF. You can make a case that that's a safety item and not just an accessory. Those are pretty nice. There are all kinds of radios. Oh my gosh, I just talked to a guy last night who was so excited because he was able to replace his 8-track. Where do you even find tapes for that? With a modern CD disc player. But then the guy who's talking, that's me right now, always says, "Hey, the sound of the engine ought to be music enough to your ears." But some people like to listen to something. So, there's any number of ways you can install speakers and radios. That's a true accessory. An alternator, is that an accessory or is that an improvement? It's usually not an improvement. Um, Looks cool, but um, then we get the radios, the alternators, the chimsels. Then we got the body itself. Oh my gosh, you can go crazy here. You can. So what kind of carpet are you going to get? Oh boy, you going to get black carpeting? Yes. Never, never be seduced by another color of carpeting but black. Why? You got stuff on your boots. You got oil on the floor. You get in the car. Those nice tan carpets get bad real fast. So you
John,
might,
there was a question about carpet in the boot. It might be a good time to.
yeah. That was my next comment right now. Carpeting the boot. So do you do that or not? Well, if the boot's nice and dry, no problem at all. But if it leaks, it won't ventilate. That your cockpit, you can get water on the floor in your car, and you're out driving, the air is going to dry the carpet out and so forth. But in the boot, it just sits there, soggy, and rusts away at the sheet metal. So you got to be careful. Seats. Oh my gosh. We just had somebody looking for the brackets that Carl Heidemann used to make to fit no, they were looking for the engine mounts to fit a Miata engine into an MGB. But Carl Heidemann at Eclectic Motorworks in Holland, Michigan, still makes brackets to fit Miata seats into MGBs. It's like, what's the matter with an MGB seat? But our Miata seats more comfortable? Probably. They're a lot more modern, and everything. But anyway, you might choose to put a different seat in your car. Um, you might choose to put a different kind of mirror on your car. Now, here you can argue that that might be safety. A TC is supplied with a single mirror about the size of my wallet. No, half the size of my wallet. Um, is it wise to put on some bigger mirrors? Yes. Is it a safety feature? Yes. But is it also an accessory? Yes. Um, so, and grab handles. You hardly ever see a grab handle on a B, but you still see them on T-types. They're really handy. They're really nice. But if you're going to buy one for the function. And the function is that you can get your hand around it and pull yourself up or down or let yourself in or out of the seat. If it's got a lot of sharp edges on it where the octagon is embossed into the casting, then it might not feel quite so comfortable to the inside of your hand as a smooth one might. Soft tops. Oh my gosh, we had we at the shop back in the day, we fitted some pretty exotic tops. If you want exotic tops, you go back to England, MG Owners Club. You want I don't know, a black top with red piping. Hey, they got it. You can't buy that stuff here, but out of England you can get more of the accessory stuff. And I would caution anyone about tops. A fabric top is really nice. I mean, it looks great and everything, but it better be black. You remember my comments from the carpeting, but a tan top, I mean, a British Racing Green MGB with a tan top, it looks, black, fabric, fabric canvas top. Oh, it looks great. Wonderful. But if you think about it, it'll get a fingerprint on it. And if you touch it with your finger, it'll get a handprint on it. And if you put your hand on it, you better be prepared to carry around a jar of Resolve carpet cleaner and the brush that goes with it. And just every time you're fiddling with the top, you've got to shake some on there and scrub off the fingerprints. It just that's what happens. So there used to be a bunch of firms that sold accessories. Willem B. Hahn, these are all out of California. MG Mitten. I can't think of any others. I'm sure there were some. I'd love to have the catalogs. They come, you can get the hat, you can get the goggles, you can get the driving gloves, you can get the car cover, you can get all kinds of mirrors and luggage racks and all kinds of accessories. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight was the accessories. So I'm going to open it up and I would invite you to tell us about the accessory you had or have or had, or the one you'd like to get, or ask a question?
So are carburetors and electronic ignitions, are those accessories or upgrades or just
I don't, I'm sure. I mean, dual SUs are the best ones you can get, in my humble opinion. And if you want to go faster, faster. Oh, here, who's this? Judd's got a picture of what's that? A table on there, Judd?
It's well, it's the big thing. I mean, the light colored thing is the picnic basket. That's
Got that.
critical, and it's actually two picnic baskets. One of them has got 1 inch styrofoam lining in it to keep my beer cold, and the other one keeps the the sandwiches and stuff
Okay.
like that in it. I don't drink and drive, but I do drive and then drink. Um, the wooden box used to be a hot tub. It's California cypress, and it actually holds the canvas for the top of the TD. Because when I put it on, I did it so that I could take it completely off. It is off and over in the corner of the shop, and it might go back on the car someday because I don't ever put the top up. So I
Okay.
think that, but a picnic basket is critical. And to go get somebody else, and I'm going to put a different picture up of another set of critical accessories.
Well, I can see the tire cover, and the tire
Yep,
cover
that's a
matches,
tire cover.
yep, tire cover matches the half tonneau that you got there. That's not a half tonneau,
Right?
it's a full tonneau with a bar, it
That's
looks
a
like.
full tonneau, and both
Yeah.
of those are pretty close to the age of the car. I mean, they've got some time on them.
Okay.
Yeah, uh,
And
and then
what sort of steering wheel is that? Looks like a Motolita.
that's a Motorita. And it was on the car when I bought it. I wouldn't necessarily otherwise buy it. Uh, but let's see.
And
W,
and
where are
there's
you?
and
There
there's the
you are.
luggage rack, and you've
Right,
got
the
a
luggage rack. Now you've got the luggage rack, which on my car is not like on a TC, which is a shelf way up at the top of the gas tank level. But on the TD, this is what they call the California. Well, it's a California car. California luggage rack, and it is the same slope as the gas
so
tank. And then very critical is heated gloves, a hat that will keep you warm when it's snowing, and a scarf to go around your neck because, well, when we took off on Friday, it was 28 degrees, and I never put the top up.
that's that's pretty chilly when you're driving at speed. So
It's
let me ask
60
you about
against
the
the wind.
gloves. Do you have something hooked up to the gloves so you can
Well,
plug the
I
12
started
volt?
out Yeah, I started out with 12-volt gloves that I got from Harley Davidson. They were wired and they were fantastic. And they really did keep your hands warm, but they discontinued them because nobody wants to mess with wires. I mean, gosh, how old school is that? So now what you get are uh, 5-volt battery operated gloves, and they are warm, and you don't have the hassle of the wires, but they're not as warm as those 12-volt gloves are.
Well, what you could
And so
do
I'm
if
going
they're
to go
if
back.
they're 5 volt, you can wire them up in series, right? And
Yeah,
then plug into the center of the dash on your TD and get 14 volts. So instead of getting
Yep.
five at each one, you're going to get 7.5, so they'll be a little bit warmer.
Yeah, but it has to go through some kind of solid state control
Oh,
gizmo.
all right,
If it,
okay,
we-
okay.
yeah, and so all of a sudden that's gone to hell. I do have the and that's something to mention. The I've got under the dash where you can't see it, an accessory. I still call it a cigarette lighter outlet. And my car is still positive ground, so that's well insulated and reverse wired, so you can plug in modern accessories to it. And in the two little things where the trouble light goes in on the dashboard, I've got them marked so that I can actually plug in stuff to that. Red is positive and black is negative. But you got to be careful when you're doing that because if it touches the frame or something, it's going to make big sparks and maybe let a little smoke out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Very
It's
cool.
fun. Life is fun.
Yeah, John,
Hey, you didn't mention heater. I don't know if the A and the B all came with heaters, but the T didn't.
Correct.
And I've got a heater sitting on the shelf. I may think about putting it in someday.
Wacky Arnold out of,
Right?
where? Indiana. Had a whole bunch of
Yeah.
stuff that was available and for not just MGs, but other cars too. And so the MGA and the MGB, all the American delivered cars had heaters in them, but the cars that went to, I don't know, Jamaica or Bermuda or, South Africa, maybe South Africa, I don't know. Those cars didn't necessarily have heaters in them. And it was an extra, 20 pounds or something to have the heater in there. So some people ordered them without them, certainly in those climates. But yes, I forgot about the Arnold heater. Thank you.
Hey,
John,
John, this is Bob Whitfield. I'm currently installing an Arnold heater.
Oh my God, those things are such a bitch to fit.
Well, my challenge is that my T still has the underdash fiberboard panel, which precludes putting in the cantilever mount up underneath of the toolbox.
Yep.
So what I've done is fabricate a saddle with two legs that'll rest on the floorboards
Okay.
and mount that. And I'm putting in quick disconnects on electrical, and I'll do the same on the hosing so that during the nicer weather, I can just pull it out of the car, return it to normal, and during the winter, I can put my heater in.
Very nice. So
I
the
don't have a picture of it, but Triumph has a nice through the dash fitting that has the two pipes so that you can pipe it in from the engine side and pipe it out from the other side. And I don't know if Bob has looked at that, but he might want to think about it. It really makes a nice, I guess you'd call that a brooch through the
Sure.
sheet metal.
Yeah.
I actually have the R note fitting that fits on the bypass hose and the associated pipes. And then for some reason, I already had two of those metal grommets on the holes that go through the firewall.
Because there
Oh,
was
somebody
So
already a
else.
heater there.
so now all I've got to do is heat bend my hoses to get the right angles and plug them in. Pretty straightforward.
That'd be
You
good.
can you can make a case for taking the heat supply off the back of the cylinder head. That's theoretically that's cooler water that's being pushed up there, but trying to pull the water out and push it back in the bypass hose, unless you actually um, um, have that positive, so that it's there's always water running through it. You may not get very much heat through there, but coming off the back of the cylinder head, you can. So it's
Yes, I've looked at that,
okay.
and and thinking that if this doesn't work real well, uh, since it's from the original layout that Arnold and Moss recommended,
Yep.
and Ben Corden, I think is his name, who specializes in some of those parts, and the sheer surface area of the core should give me, something like a gopher's breath on my ankle.
Something like that. The coldest I ever was in my life driving an MG was from Fort Knox back up to my hometown in December of 1968. I think it was then. And oh my gosh, it was so horribly cold. And all that Arnold heater did was jingle. Well, later on, when I took the car apart to restore it, I found out that there was sediment in all the hoses and there wasn't a hint of any water getting through there. And I remember thinking to myself, I would have been happier if there'd been no heater in the car, and then there wouldn't have been anything to get mad at, but I was cursing that heater when in fact it was just lack of maintenance that had caused the problem.
So you're not blaming Arnold, you're just blaming maintenance.
Yep.
Well,
So,
I consider
Sounds
the
like
heater I consider the heater an accessory
yep,
and
yep.
chased it down, spent a lot of time studying it, and it's a bit of an effort, but I think it'll work, and I'll make mine removable.
Yeah, very cool. Okay. So somebody else tried to cut.
Gerald Dalton here.
There we go.
Gerald
Gerald. Yep.
Dalton, Louisville, 75 MGB. Couple of items that are accessories, more of a comfort than anything. First off, I've got a left foot rest pedal for my foot because that MG just drives me nuts trying to put my foot someplace. And
Okay.
that was for I don't know what it was, 30 or 40 bucks, something like that. Good accessory. Zip out window in the top. I find that extremely useful. And I also had put a 2-inch drop kit on my 75 because obviously they raised all that up, and which made the car just made it a lot more planted.
Nice. Yep.
Gerald, I disagree. That footrest is not an accessory, it's a mandate. You have to have equipment.
It's a comfort item, yes.
I had a guy, Fred from New Jersey, stopped at my house one time. He was a math teacher, and he had actually taken a clutch pedal, and somehow I don't remember how he'd done it, but he'd fastened it underneath firmly, so you could bring your foot up and actually set it on a pedal. So he had three pedals plus the throttle, and of course the left hand pedal didn't do anything. It was just a resting spot. I want to say something about that zip out top too. That is just the most wonderful addition to the MGB, begun in 1977. But it fits all the Michelotti tops, or if you're Italian, Michelotti, if from 70 through 80. And also keep in mind that you can always get the Michelotti top bows, and you can fit it all the way back to 1963. I mean, it'll go all the way back, so you can get that zip out window, 77 through 80 zip out window, but you can make it fit all the earlier models. And for a while, I think Cecilia had zip. I know, does she still have it, a zip out window for an MGA? They're really nice. So, thanks, Gerald, for saying that. That's sweet. And Steve Shupak, I see that you got your shirt in the mail. Okay, wonderful.
John, I've got a piece you may have never seen before. It's a defroster
Oh my
for
God, is that
T-type.
is that a Lucas? Is that Lucas? Oh my God.
Genuine Lucas
Oh my
in the
gosh.
box.
Oh my gosh. That is so sweet. It's not, it's you lie. It's not a defroster, it's a demister. Um, yep, how very cool. How very cool for a T-type. Yep. Pat, that is so wonderful. I just lost you there for a
How does
second, but
how
um,
does that function, Pat? How
suction
does that
cups,
function, Pat?
suction cups to
What
the
Yes.
runs through it?
inside of the screen, and then you saw the plug dangling off it, and that you plug that into the center of the dash.
And I'm afraid to use it.
I wonder, yeah, anything having to do with the center of the dash. I just can't believe they bring that hot wire all the way. It's right there. I mean, it's just separated from ground and fire by so very, very little. Oh my gosh. Yeah, whenever we did TD restorations, I always told my customers, I said, now we'll we'll put the black and the red plug in there, but I'm not gonna wire it because it's just too friggin' dangerous. So anyway, yeah, that is Pat. Show that to us again. Say something so you come back up on the screen. That is so cool. Still
Oh,
waiting
what did
for
I do?
still waiting for Pat to come back up, but
He's frozen.
oh well, okay. Yeah, I don't see him. So anyway, that's California. Maybe
How about now?
there we go. All right. Okay. So show the suction cups there.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Now Lucas switch. You have three positions: off, intermittent, and short.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
And I still have the box that it came in.
That is
So
so cool. There's a there's an MGA factory accessory, which is a blind that you can have on your radiator. You pull it, and of course, no one's ever seen one in real life. But and I'm not even sure I know of anyone who's ever seen one, But yeah, that goes in the same category as your windscreen heater. That is so wonderful. Thanks.
John, are you talking about a blind that you pull up to
Yeah,
cut off the cooling air in cold weather?
yeah, on an MGA. Yeah.
We had that on a 67 Mercedes,
Well,
and
okay, but
I
that's a
wanted to put one
Mercedes.
on a different person's car. And the other accessory is if you live where it's sunny, is the good Kirkland, uh, what do you call that? Bimini.
The Bimini tops. I failed to mention those, and the guy who was making them either transferred whoever sold out, somebody else is making them. Some guy out of Texas, out of the Houston MG Club, is making those Bimini tops for A's and B's. They are
Hey,
so
John,
wonderful.
John,
Yes.
forgive me for interrupting. The gentleman's name is Barry Glass, and
Okay.
Barry's now making them for both A's and B's.
Okay.
And Barry's out of the Dallas club, out of
Oh,
the
all right.
TMGR. Yeah, great guy. Barry basically re-engineered Ed Kirkland's Bimini top out of Tallahassee.
Okay.
See if somebody can post that because I get questions on where can I get this all.
Absolutely. Like I say, it's Barry Glass, TMGR. Great product. I've got one of Ed's original Biminis out of that he did. And let me tell you, bar none, without a doubt, living in Texas, you have got to have a Bimini top. It's superb.
This is the
And
original Kirkland on here, and it's good.
yep. And with that,
Along with that, and I didn't even mention them, is the air deflector that fits behind the seats for roadsters. Yeah, it's always whenever you see a picture of a MG driving down the road and there's a girl with long hair and the hair is always blowing out behind her. It's like, no, that's an artist's imagination of what happens. In fact, because the windshield's going through the air and pushing the air out of the way, air's got to come in from behind the car up into the windshield. So the girl with the long hair, her hair is is largely moving forward towards the windshield and getting all tussled, and you get rid of all of that with those wind deflectors. Those are really nice.
John, my
Yes.
TD has a storage area under the back of the car. You behind the seats,
Okay.
lift up a little door there, and there's about a 6 inch deep storage area that goes the whole width of the door, the floor between the two wheel wells, or
Okay.
in the rear axle, above the rear axle,
So that
and carry a
sits,
lot of tools down there.
does that sit below where the original shelf was? Or is it
Yes,
okay? All right, that's cool. That sounds homemade, but that's cool. Very
I bought
nice.
the kit to do it from a fellow at a GOF out here,
Okay. Your whereabouts?
California,
Okay.
Central Coast.
Okay.
Hey, John, how about a
Yes.
sway bar?
Well, that I would include that as an accessory, but absolutely, absolutely critical to having the car handle well. If you've got a TD, TF, MGA, or a 7475 MGB without it, oh my God, it is the single most dramatic thing you can do to improve your handling. Forget all the stuff about tires and brakes and suspension and exotic shock absorbers. You put that sway bar on there, it makes all the difference in the world. Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
John, I have a oversized sway bar front and rear, and it rides a little harder, which surprised me, but it just stays flat in the curves. It just it's worth the hard ride. It's a sports car. It's not supposed to ride like a luxury car.
Okay.
And also, I put a cold air intake at the top of the box of a 90 Aerostar. And you have to make a plate and drill the holes. And I put short stacks in there and 4-inch hose out the front. You get a hole saw and make that hole in the front a little bigger, so you can. And it was after Kelvin out in Moss Motors saw my cold air intake, then next year, so he brought out one very similar to that. Yeah, but it does work at high speeds. Around the city, it doesn't make any difference, but on the highway, it really makes a lot of difference with gas mileage and all that.
Okay.
And,
Thank you.
and I'd like to mention too, the accessory that I like is on our GT, we have those gas shocks that hold up that horrible
Oh,
The
yes.
spare tire.
board. And that beats trying to hold up that board with your head while you're trying to do something.
Yep. Gas shocks work on the back light too.
Mhm.
They have to be a
Yeah.
little bit bigger, but those, yeah, those gas shocks are just dynamite. They really are. So, and for that matter, when you go back to a TD or an MGA, and they've got those wire bands that go around the brake lines and go around the rear axle, stuff like that, or on a little bit later MGB, they got rubber um, notched rubber things to hold things in place. It's only because Velcro and zip strips were invented after the car was designed that they didn't include those. Zip strips or uh, zip ties are dynamite, and so is Velcro for doing all kinds of things. To be able to lift your carpet up to have it stay in place. It's not original, but oh my gosh, it's so much easier than installing maybe eight lift the dots on an MGA carpet. Yeah. So
Hey, John. One of my wife's favorite accessories, actually, it's mandatory standard equipment 24/7 here in Southern California, is the 12-volt powered electric blanket from Amazon in the Roadster that has no hood.
okay, and that just plugs into the cigarette lighter.
You got it.
Excuse me, it's
You
not
got
a
it.
cigarette. That's politically incorrect. Into the power port. Yeah.
Guess what? Guess what? I'm old school. It's a cigarette lighter, but I don't have a ashtray, so we're not smoking in the car.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Very nice.
Also, you didn't mention the number one engine bay accessory, and that's the MG emblem nuts for the rocker cover and also the dash pots.
Yes. Yep. Yes, absolutely. And the underbonnet insulation with the 2 foot wide MG. So when you open up the car, you don't forget what you're working on. Yes, thank you. Those are true accessories. John Clark earlier asked, what about carburetors and distributors and stuff like that? But yeah, those are the true accessories. Yep.
John, what
Gas
about
shocks.
Mark,
what about
go ahead.
about the tires? Your out air valve on the tires, they have MG on it.
Oh yeah, sure. Yes. Yes. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. In case you forget which you find a cap in your pocket and you wonder, I wonder which car that came off of. And if it says
Hey,
MG,
John.
you'll know immediately, right? Hey, David.
Yeah, I've been hiding out here. I just put power steering in a B.
Power steering.
Yep,
Okay.
it's awesome. Electric power steering.
Okay.
That's sad.
That's the kit from Moss. I tell you what, I got to use my mute all button because I got some background noise here. But David, come back in,
Yeah,
and there we go. So how much time did it take? You know, when you sort of know what you're doing.
about 4 hours,
Oh,
4 or 5 hours.
geez. Okay.
It was easy. It replaces the upper steering column,
Okay.
and it's got an electric motor, and it's adjustable, so it's a variable power to how much you want, and it works great.
Okay.
Of course, this guy went overboard. We also put coil-over suspension.
Oh, you told me about that.
Yeah. Yeah, we put 5-link rear suspension, coil-over rear or front, and then everything else. But
Electric
I
windows.
want to change my screen here. We also did a really cool addition to his car. Okay, here. So we changed
Okay.
the
Battery
battery
box.
storage
Yeah.
to storage boxes.
So the battery is where up front now?
It's in the trunk.
Okay.
I put it up right in front of the tail light and just ran some cables.
Sure. Sure.
But now he's got plenty of storage behind the seat.
Very cool. Very cool. David knows how to do that because he's the North American Healy expert. And Healy's put their battery in the back on the right-hand side. So very cool.
One other little thing, John, that I have found to be very handy, instead of a cigarette lighter, USB port,
Yes.
where you can plug your phone into it and make it real accessible.
Yep. I just talked to a guy who'd had taken his MG to a stereo shop well, to a guy who did a lot of stereo work. And he was extolling how great it was and how nice the sound was and that he had USB ports. So yes.
Gas shocks on the engine hood.
Yes.
You get rid of that strut, it opens that hood up so much wider, and you can get in there and fool around without banging your head.
Those things are so nice. Absolutely. Yes. I never thought about putting them on the piece of plywood in the back of a GT until Gloria said something about it, so that I didn't even think of that because you open it up and you're fiddling around with whatever's down there by the spare tire and you're holding it open with your head. Yeah. So very cool.
Hey, John.
Another thing that's
So who just came in with the exotic wheel spinner? Or is that
No. That's for opening, opening the radiator cap on a
Okay.
T-type car.
Yep.
And you can buy them from Moss, or you can make it in your own shop like that. And the other accessory, I didn't realize I had a picture of it, is the if your temperature gauge isn't working real good, you get the
Oh, yeah, sure.
uh,
The manometer.
radiator cap with the thermometer built in.
Yep. Yep. We had one that came in with flags on it. It rotated, I don't know, between cold and hot, or I don't know, something or other. It was pretty, yeah, yeah. Yep, very cool.
John,
Yes,
John,
sir.
this is Doug.
Doug.
Yeah, of my MGs, they all have some improvements or accessories, but the one with the most is my TF, and the previous owner had a list, a full page list of all the improvements he has made and accessories. And one of the things he did, he put front and he put overriders on the front and the rear so he could carry a canoe across the car, as you can see.
Oh my gosh.
He did that. Yeah. I don't
Okay.
have the canoe. I don't have the canoe. Um, but one thing, a major thing he did, I'll just show it to you. Just hold on.
Oh my gosh.
He cut the. This is the side. This is the side of the TF, which is removable. Both
Oh,
sides. You
oh my
see,
gosh.
and so he did that on both sides, and on the other TF I had before this one, he did that on the on the passenger side on that car. But so that's a major thing, and he even made a tool for removing. This is like a screwdriver that he has modified with like a hex wrench
Uh-huh.
connection, and then a, a socket.
Sure.
So this is a homemade tool for removing the sides of the car. So obviously this makes it a lot. I actually removed the starter motor without having to jack up the car because all I had to do was
That, hey, Doug, I got to hit the mute all button, but come back to me.
yeah, so that's a good thing, and obviously, but like I say, he is really he really went hog wild with all of
Hey,
his improvements, and a lot of them is very good. He put in the Datsun 5-speed transmission, for example, and the MGA distributor and alternate. He did just a lot of things, and so it's a very good, comfortable driving car. He widened. He adjusted the straps of the doors so you can open them wider by a few more inches, and
okay.
so anyway, those improvements or accessories, and I just wanted to say about, I think what your daughter is doing is a good idea about trying to find a place outside of the city for her car, because I do the same thing myself. I have a rental garage out in the suburbs where I either ride my bike down to the train station in Chicago or take the bus, and then I take the train out to the suburbs. And my garage there is 2 blocks, a 2 block walk from the suburban train station. And I've been doing this for, well, over 20 years. So it's doable. And I would encourage her to, pursue finding a spot relatively close to a train station so she can enjoy her MG out away from the city gridlock.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, John, you didn't mention the octagonal extra long lug wrench that's University Motors approved and John Twist autographed either.
That's an accessory, although yeah, absolutely. Yep. Made by
It's slick.
Clark and
Clark and
Clark
Clark.
in Holland. Yep.
They work really well. I'm happy.
Like when Rob Clark designed those, he said, brought it over to the shop. He said, what do you think? I tried one out, and if you got something that's like really tight, or they'll bend. But and the one the undo wrench is got that beat by a mile because it's got rollers on it. It doesn't nick up the spinners. I had one guy call me one time. He says, "You approve this?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, it put marks in my spinners, you know." It's like, I said, "So put some leather in there, you know." He was distraught. He should have called the guy that made him. But I told Rob Clark, I said, "Well, geez, Rob, it's the only thing that's missing is something that says University Motors approved on it, you know." So yeah, it's the only product I think that's out there that says University Motors approved. Thank you.
I have a couple
Hey,
of
John, what
other
about an extra
accessories.
light?
I got a couple of accessories that I think they're necessities. I put cruise control on my B.
Okay.
When my right leg turned 50, it got tired. So, and then the other thing is air horns. Got to have air horns.
Yes.
And then that's a safety thing. And then when you put the top down and you roll it up and have those straps, well, I put cloth on both sides of the window so it doesn't scratch, but it makes it thicker. So we just made one of those straps longer and works real good. And my windows last longer than the top. I never had a window go bad on me.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I think those are
that's what I meant about the Velcro. You know, if there'd been Velcro when they made the cars, they would have made those straps with Velcro on them rather than the snap, which I mean, on a good day when it's nice and hot and you got two people working that know just what they're doing, sometimes you can get that thing wrapped up tightly enough that you can get those straps snapped. But anytime anyone goes to redo an interior on an MGB and you go to find them and they're gone, and the guy that did the interior took them out and forgot where forgot where they went, I think. So, well, we've talked a long time.
I had some made for my top from a guy, and he put cloth on the inside of the strap so it protects it a little bit better.
Very
The other
nice.
thing that I did that I don't know if it's an accessory or just a convenience or a whatever, but I put a second fuel pump, just a small electric fuel pump as a backup.
Yes.
And I had a lot of trouble with my SU initially, and then I had to just eventually replace it. But when I did that, I also added a second backup, a little switch in the trunk. So if the thing fails, I jump in the back and flip a switch, and I'm back using the other fuel.
Yeah, yes, that makes lots of sense. So, and you've got some kind of aftermarket wheels. What are those?
Those are called mini light types. That's
Okay.
what they call them.
Yeah.
They're kind of a knockoff of them.
Yep. Yep.
Hey, John, I've got something it's pretty simple, but cup holders. I have personally in my 66B,
Okay.
I think everybody every once in a while it goes a little risky and takes a drink with them in the unfortunate case that they may and spill it. You want to be careful about that. But I have a center console in between the two seats in the 66B.
Sure.
And it's center console, nice for storage. I keep pens and a few bandages in there, and but it has a cup holder on the end, and that's convenient. And I've also seen the ones that Moss sells, which is it kind of sits on the transmission tunnel on the side, and it's a mounting bracket of some kind. So there's always that for a certain convenience.
What about the ones
Yeah.
that go in the middle of the console in front of the shifter?
Yeah, I believe those were stock on later Bs, or were an accessory on later Bs.
Accessory. Again, an accessory.
Okay.
Yes.
I have
I've
a cup,
used the
I have a cup holder between my legs, but it does fine until I shift and push the clutch.
Or stop. Yeah. Yeah. Those are, yeah.
Yeah, I put two cup holders in mine from Moss. They're the kind that sit up against the tunnel with a leg that goes underneath the carpet.
Okay.
So I have one, yeah, I have one in the driver and one in the passenger. It doesn't interfere with leg space
Can you make this
and
slower, Michelle?
is very easy to find and works very well for me.
Very nice. Very nice.
John,
Yes, David.
much earlier in the discussion, you had mentioned gear shift knobs, and I have a 5-speed that Bruce Woodson had made the 5-speed on the top of the original.
Quiet. I'm on the phone.
David, I got to hit the mute all because I got some background noise. But come on back to me, David Massey. Oh, waiting for David Massey to come back.
Finally, there we go. Bruce Woodson had
Yes.
adapted the gear shift knob for the 5-speed. It's the original gear shift knob with the instead of the pattern for 4, it's got for the 5.
Okay.
And he had it manufactured quite a bit. 30 at a time or whatever, but that's what he used. The other thing that I have in Florida, I don't need a heater, so I've got the blanking plate on an MGA.
Yep, a lot more room, a lot more room under the bonnet. Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
John, this is Robert Guinness. I have a Del Swift antenna mirror on my MGA.
What in the world?
The picture's not the complete one, but it's on the passenger side. It fits on the cowl where the antenna hole was. So it serves both as an antenna for your radio and as a rear view mirror.
How bizarre.
I haven't seen many of them, but they're very nice.
No, but how do you can you actually see
Perfectly.
something out of that?
Perfectly. It's better than the
all
driver's
right.
side one.
Okay. All right. Hey, I've never seen that before. Interesting. Very interesting.
Hempy used to sell them for Volkswagens as well.
Okay.
Hey, John, I got a question for everybody. Anybody who wants to replace their dashboard with one of those plastic covers.
Yeah.
And they make a big deal of the fact that how do you attach them? And they put all these pillows in and everything to keep it down so it adheres. And when I put mine in, I used Velcro, heavy duty Velcro, and it works perfect. It's been in for 3 years, doesn't move a bit, and it's in 10 minutes. So it's a great opportunity to use Velcro again.
Maybe we should have one of these seminars just about where to use Velcro in the car. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
John.
Tom.
Tom Gunderson. I've got a MGA. And when you take the top Roadster, when you take the top down, the metal of the top, when it folds at the bottom, the part that sits lowest wants to sit against the seat.
Yes.
Where it's on the back of the seat.
Yes.
Somebody, I haven't done this, but somebody had taken a leather strap, connected it to the back behind the seat somehow, and had a little pocket on it. So when you put your top all the way down, you take that little folded metal of the top and pop it into that leather, and it holds it behind the seat.
So further to that, there are 2 holes in that piece of metal that's behind the seats that the tool wrap goes around. That's supposed to hold the tool wrap in the boot, but instead get rid of the tool wrap, let that rattle around on the floor in the trunk, and take the straps in the opposite direction so the 2 free ends are inside the cockpit. And then when you get the top, you bring the top up, put those around it, cinch it up, and it will draw it way up into the back, way up. And those
Very
things,
good idea.
it's real easy to do. You can get the straps at the hardware store.
I'll try that. One other thing I did on the electric, I put a little button under the dashboard that gives me momentary windshield wiper.
Oh, okay.
Instead of have, it's because your windshield wiper is only one speed, and you got to pop it out, push it in, pop it out. If you have a momentary button, you just touch it underneath. It's right near the steering column.
Sure.
So it's right there at your hand. You just touch that button, and then you can make your windshield wiper go twice, and then that's it.
There's a Lucas switch, which looks exactly like all the rest of them in your dash, that are used on Heelys for starting. It's a push, and you can put that where the fog light switch is, unless you got fog lights, So and you could use that for the same thing to temporarily ground the motor so it cycles.
There's
Very
always a
cool.
way.
Very cool.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Well, you were talking about the MGA. Now on mine, the spare tire fills up that hole between the uh, uh, trunk boot, if you will, and the other part of the car. And also, there's a cover that covers the spare tire that also blocks that up. Are you saying you wouldn't have any of that so that you could put these straps in?
No, you can leave that right in place, Judd. You can leave it right in place. The spare tire's still in the same place. It's still covered with the same fabric. It's just that the top bows, the top part of the top bows, would fit well above that. There are two slits back there that hold, and the piece of metal is open at the top, so you can slide a strap through there and have it available so you can cinch the top way up into the back of the cockpit so that it doesn't poke the seats.
That'll be great. I've got to look at mine because I didn't know that was there. That'll really be helpful. And you did mention fog lights, so I just thought I'd show a picture of.
Hey, very cool. Yep, yep. Mine's the SLR, the Lucas flamethrower. It's like, yeah, and you got to constantly, no matter when you might want to turn it on, it's always pointed in the wrong direction. You
Well,
have
these draw so much power. I mean, these draw together almost 30 amps, and so
oh
I
my
don't ever
gosh,
turn them on. They're just bling. These are
oh my
7 inch
gosh, that
big
that's
old
more
guys.
that's more than that poor generator puts out. Holy moly.
They're just bling. Gentlemen don't drive after dark.
Ah,
I've got what I think is a necessity. I put lumbar supports under my upholstery in my B.
okay.
What a difference. I don't get tired driving it.
Are they like it's an inflatable bag or something? Can you pump it up or
No,
is it
I got a thick piece of foam
okay?
and then cut it, in an
Okay.
oblong piece. And I use duct tape because you can't see it. I use duct tape to hold it in place and
Okay.
then put the cover back on it.
Nice.
What a difference it makes.
Yep. It's
not a
we did an MGB one time that the guy wanted heated seats, and I thought, how stupid is that? But today, when I got in my 2017 Equinox, I was real happy I had heated seats. So yeah. Well, we've gone on. If there's more to talk about accessories, we certainly will. But I've got 64 comments over in the chat section. So
John,
Dave
John,
Quinn.
can I just offer one thing?
Yes, sir.
You were talking earlier about a cigarette lighter plug-in. There is one for sale right now, a 2-pack of what I like for $12 on Amazon. And what I like about it is a voltmeter, as well as it has 4 ports for USB. The
Very good.
brand is
12 bucks.
KIF, $12 for 2 of them. The brand is KIFDAN on Amazon.
KIFDAN.
Correct.
Okay. And is
Great.
that
I mean,
To take
I
it
can look
out,
down
but
and
you
I
can
can
leave the
look down
car
and
for a
check
while.
on my voltage while I'm driving.
very nice? A
Okay,
lot safer than an ammeter. Yeah. Yep. Cool. Thanks, Dave.
thank you.
Going to say on the heated seats, you can buy the aftermarket kits from Amazon and put them in. Takes just a few hours.
What's that? What's you got a big sound system in the back ears, or am I just looking at some shadows there, Mr. McFarland?
Oh, I was talking about that's just straight up MGB.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing in the rear. I did
Okay.
reupholster the seats,
What?
and when I did, I put heated seats in, and that made a huge difference driving in the cold.
Yeah. Oh my
Highly
gosh.
recommend that.
What sort of wheels are those?
I bought those on eBay from a guy down in Texas that refurbishes rims. He said they came off of a 240Z back in the day,
Okay.
about 1970. And
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the Hurricane turbine rims, and I wanted something different. Nothing
Yeah.
appeased me on the MG market. So,
Yeah. Cool.
yeah, I just did those last year.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, cruise control is important. This is my daily driver actually in the summertime. Air horns, absolute must. I was run off the road one time because a guy in a big van couldn't see me and he just merged right on over and my little horn wasn't working. So now these air horns, boy, yeah, I get people's attention
Yep.
real quick.
I'm a firm believer in air horns. Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, that's all stuff you can buy on Amazon. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got a trailer hitch on mine, which is really nice I have a little 4 foot square with one of those rooftop top things strapped down to it. So I have a boat so I can trailer stuff back and forth. But also on that hitch, I also use it for a bike rack. So I'm
Okay.
out bicycling, I can bring my bicycle with me. So that's really important too. But yeah, a lot of fun. And I just put a heater core in yesterday. So I got my share of cuts and bruises and scars from that damn thing. So
Okay.
yeah, and that heater core had to come straight from England. I couldn't find one in the U.S. So
Okay.
that was kind of annoying. Yeah, fun.
Hey, thank
And
you.
yeah, thank you for the help years ago rebuilding my overdrive transmission. You recommended the right stuff to glue that thing together, and has not leaked ever since. So
Great.
thank you again.
Great. Okay, so if we talked accessories about to death here, I want to go over to the chat section here. So I'm just a second while I go over to the chat section here, and we've got oh my gosh, here, third picture, who markets the high pressure oil pump? I made that in the constant contact that I sent out. I took a Dremel and I just all you have to do is fiddle with the cap, but and cut away the section there so the oil comes right up into the rotor and impeller. But the problem is that then when you shut the car off, all the oil runs out of it. It hasn't got any oil in it, and it takes a little bit longer to get oil pressure when you start up. So if it's a B or something like that, you want to spin it for a while until you get a bump on your oil pressure gauge, so you know you've got oil pressure before you start it. So that was my comment about that. And Pat Garrity says he's got a 47 TC. Mark Webb's got an 80 BLE. And Henry says, I'm looking to add carpet to my boot trunk of my MGB. I read this is not a good idea because it creates unnecessary humidity and potential rust issues, which is exactly what I said. Unless when you park it, leave the boot lid open. If it's what 72, 73 or later, you have a light there. Of course, that'll drain the battery dead in a day and a half, so you'd have to disconnect that. But that was my concern about having carpet back there. So Yep, and John Clark says that that apparently is what happened to him too. So let's see. We got a May 1980 MGB from David Basili. Um, how do I order the engine book and what does it cost? Well, it's easy to order it, Steve Illis. It's just more difficult for us to get it in the mail to you, but I keep promising it's going to happen this week, and it's going to happen this week. So just reach out to on email, and I'll. Oh, here, Marty's already answered it there for you. How about that? So, let's see, this is a Jim Riley. If you got a trunk luggage rack, it it can come in through the screw holes. That is, if we're talking about the carpeting now and getting water in the trunk, so silicone sealer can help. So anyway, that's straightforward. Um, and the next one is just a minute here. Gil Dupre, power steering, and we already had David Knock, very kind of David to come in. He's got a business to run in Stockton, California. So thanks very much. Where can I find the Zoom video for how to restore your MG in an hour? I thought it was a great show. Thanks. Well, pretty soon I'll have it up on YouTube. And let's see. Bell made one for the TD that was aluminum. I can't imagine how it would be in the sun. I'm not sure what we're talking about here by Mr. Maselli. Phil Mendelson says, does anyone know where I can get slot mags for an MGB these days? So I cannot tell you where to find those type of wheels. Thoughts warning on LED lighting, dash lighting. Great. It just LEDs are wonderful. They carry so much less current. It doesn't overheat the wires, doesn't ruin the switches. The headlights can be brighter, but as Blair Weiss talked to us 2 years ago, maybe, about LED headlights, there's a jillion of them out there, and most of them are junk. He works, I think, for Sylvania, and of course he's touting the bulbs that they make because it all has to do with the glare and where all the light goes. Oh, here we go. Bill Cadden, back in the day, Fiero seats were a popular substitute, mainly for having radio speakers in the headrests. I have a front air dam spoiler that adds to the appearance of the car. Not sure if it makes any performance difference. Probably not. Not at the kind of driving that David Basili probably does. But I remember, and a bra. Remember when the bras were available that you could put on the front of the bonnet? You know, to I don't strictly fun stuff. I mean, it's just oh, come on, let's go. David Baldwin got a tip on preventing boot water leaks in an MGB. Mike, if you're on, you can come in.
Yeah. Yeah. How you doing, John?
Yeah, great.
The tip is this. I've got the factory luggage rack and I had a little bit of leaks occasionally, but after I'd washed the car, set out in the rain, nothing major, but the usual dribbles here and there. And I thought it was coming in around the luggage rack, but no. When I put some paper towels down and checked it, it turned out that the putty they used around the speed nuts for the badge for the MG Octagon logo and also for the MG
Really?
Harder than third grade arithmetic. And so I touched that a couple of times and the pieces fell off. So if you take that and you snug up the speed nuts and you go get some white RTV, you can even make it look like the original Dum Dum or whatever they want to call it. But it was leaking around the speed nuts, not the much maligned luggage rack.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. There's no substitute for getting someone who's small and putting them in the trunk with a flashlight while you hose it down, but you need someone who's small, who's not claustrophobic, who knows how to get
Yeah.
out of the
Well, my
trunk.
wife's 6 foot tall. My wife's 6 foot tall, so that doesn't work. But I did
Randy?
put paper towels in, so
Yep.
water does run straight down, and so it was wet under the badges, but not under the luggage rack bolts.
Okay. Thank you very much. Cocoa mats. I have a set of cocoa mats with heel pads and rubber. Very nice. Oh yeah, the factory had the cocoa mats. The factory actually carried those. There was a whole series of aftermarket parts with HAC part numbers, which stood for Hambro Automotive Corporation. They were the importer of the MGs, and anything with an HAC part number was an accessory. So there were a lot of factory accessories, and the cocoa mats were one. Um, what about a midget mosquito hood ornament for the T cars? Of course, of course, that is the ultimate in um, accessories for a T car. Yep. Robert Guinness, my favorite mirror radio accessory is the vintage Dell Swift car mirror radio antenna installed in the we've seen a picture of that. So that's very, very nice. Um, I've got to change my screen here just a moment. All right, here we go. So I can read this more clearly. Thank you. Uh, see, I have a hardtop for an MGA which needs a rear window. What material would people recommend and where? How might I get it? For an MGA, talk to Cecilia at Scarborough Fair. Um, that's way beyond my pay grade, Alan Thompson. But within the MGA community, there are a bunch of MGA hardtops, and somebody's got to be able to tell you how you can do that. I can't. So if you're a member of NAMGAR, you can run an ad in there, ask their tech guy, or you can call me tomorrow, and I'll put you in touch with somebody there. iPad 6 says I have a Weber on my 74B and find it works well and easy to tune. Yep, they are. They are. Larry Maselli, my 64 MC1100 was ordered with the heater deleted. It was delivered to Miami. Not much use for a heater in Miami. Instead, it had dealer installed air conditioning. Oh my gosh, in an MG 1100. Imagine that. My God, that compressor had to have been as big as the engine. Um, Joseph Schrody says for the accessory list, include adding an electric clock to the dash. Okay, all right, that's cool. Dean Webb says lots of fellas here making me hungry, thirsty, and jealous of their cars. Love it. Thanks. Gil Dupre, MGA twin cam inner fender louvers. Oh my gosh. Yeah, those. Oh my gosh, the TF and the MGA twin cam are the two more difficult MGs to work. MGC can be difficult in some spots, but the twin cam is just a horror. It's it's just as bad as putting a cross flow head on your MGB. You just can't reach anything. Steve Olson says cruise control on my 76 midget helps a lot on long trips. And Ben Andrews also says cruise control would be nice sometimes. I recall a buddy's Alpha had a throttle lock. That must mean that it stayed. You have to use the key to turn it off. Um, and Mr. McFarland says he did the cruise control as well. Uh, Joe Schrody says include the Bimini top. We talked about those. What about and Bill Mills, what about the Webasto sunroof for the BGTs? Those were cool at the time. We installed one time. I remember watching my guys cut this 3x3 hole in the top of a GT, hoping and praying that that when we got the top, it was going to work correctly and not leak. It's been a while since I've seen those. Oh my gosh.
John,
Yes.
John, yeah, I had a 74 and also a 70 BGTs. And so they get pretty warm in there. You can't get much air in the summertime
Yeah.
in there without an air conditioner. The dash vents don't really get much air, and if it's 105 degrees, it's you get pretty warm in traffic inside there. So that's why I was looking at the sunroofs at one point.
Yep. I don't know if you can, I suppose you can buy a generic one now that you could make fit, but oh my gosh. Let's see, Mark Webb. Anybody else find it a bit funny that the demist Lucas device has settings for short and intermittent? It's a joke, Mark. Um, thoughts on the Weber carb? Hey, if you're going to go to all that trouble, put dual SUs on it, but they work fine. The Weber carburetors are so simple and they work just fine. They got a couple performance problems, but everyone can work on them, and everyone, oh my gosh, all these people have weighed in on comments about Weber carburetors. Where do I get a sway bar for a TF? I don't race it, but enjoy spirited driving. So Dean Webb, I don't know if Moss sells a sway bar for a TF. Is the wheel width the same as an MGA? Can you use an MGB front sway bar? I think maybe you can. And you have to attach it to the bottom of the dumb irons that hold the front bumper in place. But it's just, oh my gosh. Now you got to change the spring pans, you got to change the A-arms, get some links and so forth. What a dramatic difference it makes. Oh my God. Um, um, Steve Olson says, I made a crude but effective center console for our midget. It has a tiny bit of storage, but more importantly, is an armrest. I also made cup holders that hang from the top of the dash pad. They look ugly, but they come in very handy. So,
Hey, John, it's Jim.
Yeah.
Getting to further the point on these consoles.
Yeah.
Prior to 71, if anyone can find an Amco original console, they are awesome. It is a necessity, but it's the Amco version that you can, I presume there were options, accessories back in the
I forgot to
early.
mention Amco.
They're beautiful.
They made the heavy floor mats that you can still buy today with an MG embossing. I mean, get those from Moss. They used to be just dirt cheap, $18 for a pair or something like that. And they're so heavy, they're so nice. They absorb an awful lot of sound. And Amco made tops. They're not in business anymore. And they made a bunch of other accessories too. Forgotten about that. Thanks. Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, those consoles are awesome. They're hard to find too.
Okay, thanks.
You bought the sway bars. I don't know if they make them for MGAs, but ADCO, AADCO, and they stand behind their products. I had my rear sway bar about 30 years, and the two brackets, the hold down clamps, cracked. And so I called them up to see if they could buy some, and they said, we'll just send you some. And they really stand behind their product. So he sent me for free. And like I said, I don't know if they make something for MGAs, but it's worth a try.
My experience is. Go ahead, David.
They do make them for the MGA, and aren't they based in Florida? I believe. Is that where you contacted them, Bob?
I don't remember. It's been so long.
I thought they're out of Georgia, but we're in the same area of the country.
Yeah, some down south somewhere.
Thank you.
Gil Dupre says air conditioning cruise control on my MGB GT. Brad Schwartz is keen on spin-off oil filter adapters to replace the canister style that are common all the way up through 1969. So yeah, the spin-on oil filters are so nice. Eric Siri, late to the meeting. Anyone discuss cruise controls? Yes. Look at this. Larry Maselli says Velcro was invented in 1941. Really? Man, it didn't hit the, I swear.
It was an
I did.
army thing. Army invention, I believe. It was military
Really?
for a lot of years. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, Going here, Zoom topic suggestion. Oh, that's Steve. Yep. Creative uses for Velcro and zip ties. Yep. Um, Paul asks, we're off the subject now. This is nice. The 1975 18V engine has a larger crank pulley. Why? Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure I know the answer to that. Um, Obviously, you're going to get more feet per minute on a belt. Maybe they thought it'd spin the alternator faster rather than putting a small diameter on the alternator. Maybe they thought it'd spin the water pump faster. Um, but I don't know. Why would they put a large pulley up there? I don't know.
Don't know. I don't know. Everything from 75 to 80
Yeah,
all had a large bolt.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
John, that was when they moved the radiator. So probably because they went to electric fans, they changed the speed of the water pump.
Oh, okay. All right. No, they didn't change the fan till 77.
Yeah.
But it's an idea. I mean, it's more than I came up with.
Okay.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Interesting. Well, that's one of those questions that's got to hang out there now until somebody. It's usually Kelvin from Moss who pours through data. What did he come up with? Oh, why the MGB oil pump has that extra great big hole in it that sucks air if you're not careful on assembly. It's like, why would it even have that? Because of the front wheel drive, the Land Crab, the 1800, that was a nobody even buys an oil pump for that. Those cars don't exist. So why would they even keep machining it in? But they do. Um, yeah, that's a good one. We'll have to ask around about that. Never thought about it, or if I did, I forgot.
John, speaking of oil pumps,
Yeah,
I have a question. Okay, on reassembling an oil pump, it says,
yeah,
put the chamfered edge, into the
yes.
pump, the body first. Does that dimple? That's the dimple side is the chamfered side, correct? Looks like it.
Well,
Do you ever see on an
there's
MGA?
the rotor. Is that the rotor? The outside part most certainly has a chamfered edge, and
Yeah,
that you
is
drop
that
that in the
dimpled
pump.
usually?
So you drop that in the
Looks like
pump
this one has.
first.
Okay, okay. Because it looks like mine has got a dimple on it also. I wasn't sure if that's just represent. Okay, that's the question I had.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
iPhone 6, I've installed a radio with a backup camera and Bluetooth, a telephone holder, backup siren, and just completed a Bimini set and adapted it to utilize the full tonneau cover. Also installed an emergency hood latch release. The emergency latch release is nice. Last week before, I proposed using when we talked about cables, I proposed about using a cable release on an MGA, but I was shouted down saying that the original one with all the levers and rods works just fine. Why would you change it? But yeah, that's interesting. A backup camera. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. See, I have a cup holder that mounts on the doors. They fold down when in use and fold out of the way when not in use. So I've seen those before. I've seen those, and um, Cabela's and David Basili says Cabela's advertises them. So there we go to Eric Masiri, a strap to prevent MGA top bow frame from digging into the seat backs. Have a picture, just need to know how to share it on Zoom. Yep. Okay. Well, next you can take a picture, put it in your video background, and then show it to us next time, Eric. Dean Webb, I've been told if you leave the ignition switch on too long and the engine is not running, you can burn out the electronic ignition module. If that's true, what causes that to happen? Heat? Question mark. It very well is heat. There's a duty cycle. Everything has a duty cycle. The starter motor has this duty cycle. You know, you can't run it for 30 minutes and hope that it's going to survive. It's supposed to run for 20 seconds and then 20 seconds again or something or other. And if you do leave the switch on, then the fuel pump is on. Electric fuel pump is on. So if something's leaking or the needle in the seats are weeping, you can get more gasoline in where you should. If you got points and the points are closed, the coil will overheat because the dwell of the coil is 60 degrees, 60 out of 90, which means the points are closed for 60 of that 90 degrees of operation. So the coil should get a break per cylinder, one third of the operation time. It gets a break. So yeah, don't leave the key on. If you have to leave the key on, if you have to, disconnect the coil and disconnect the fuel pump. Easy enough, and you won't forget because car won't start again. Ron Nugent, hey, nice to see you on tonight. Alan Tabs, for a tight-fitting soft top on my 74B, I removed the metal piece from the back of the top and replaced it with a 1/8 by 6-inch rods. This makes the tight top a lot easier to attach to the windshield. Okay. All right. The other thing is wait until it's really warm or use a heater you can put inside the car and just turn it on. Don't walk
I don't need
away.
that in Miami. I don't need that in Miami, John.
Oh,
You
all
know,
right. Okay.
and
All right.
it's a pain in the butt to get that top on until I
Oh,
put the rods in. And
okay.
so now you lose an inch with that with the flat piece of metal, and
Okay.
by just putting an 1/8 rod in, and it closes up like a dream.
Nice. We
So
had we had
so
a I put pictures of it out on an earlier Constant Contacts. We made a rectangle out of 2x4, all reinforced in the corners, and had turnbuckles, and they were wooden clamps with nuts and bolts. Took forever to get the thing hooked up, but you'd clamp up the top or the tonneau, whatever it wasn't fitting, and put it out in the sun, and then every day turn all these turnbuckles, and it. Hey, it stretched. It stretched to the whatever size you wanted it.
no,
So,
I can imagine that the heat is going to make a big difference, and
yep.
to stretch it would be one thing, but when it's in the garage and you take it out, it's really tough to get it up and put
Okay.
it on the car. Get it to close up at the front on the windshield. It's a real
Got it.
pain in the butt, but
Yeah.
it
Well,
works, so
yep.
it's a good
Thank,
idea.
thank you. Thank you. 59 MGI says, when are you going to send out the engine books? And like I say each week, soon. See, And Tony Shoviak says, I've got the first edition of John's Engine Rebuild book. How do I get a copy of the updated version? So, but Marty's got the information right there. What lube to use during engine reassembly? So that one is Permatex makes an engine assembly lube, and it's really viscous, but man, you can pull it between your fingers. It gets really long. It's really nice. And that's what I mean. You got to use something, but that's the engine assembly lube made by Permatex.
So
So
what do? You're gonna coat your cylinder walls and pistons and everything with that? Coat
my
everything with that, or
machine
what?
my machine shop, the last time I was out there, he's putting the pistons in without any oil in the cylinders. And I said, "What's the deal? Thought you're always supposed to oil it." He says, "Nah, the rings break in faster if you don't have any oil on the walls." But no, on all the bearings, the main bearings, rod bearings,
Okay, all
cam
the bearings and
bearings.
stuff. Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. Okay,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
Um, Bill Thornton, based on my frustrating experience changing a throttle cable on my 1979 MGB with a Weber downdraft carb today, my requested accessory necessity would be a way to attach the cable at the carb without having to snip the nipple and tag off. So you got to tin the end of it. Wherever you're going to snip it, you got to use your soldering iron and flux and solder and tin it so that when you snip it, it doesn't splay. Yeah, that's frustrating. Um, and Mr. 8, Mr. 8734 has said installed a remote battery connect at the right rear wheel to connect the battery uh, maintenance without having to access the battery on my 72B when the top is down. So yes, the battery connections at the right rear wheel, that will work. The other thing is that when you're charging the car, especially with like a little battery maintenance charger or even a 10 amp charger, you can go right to the fuse box, bottom fuse in the fuse box and ground. You don't have to access the battery. In fact, it's safer to charge from underneath the bonnet because you're not going to get any hydrogen gas build up there. Uh, you charge a million batteries, a couple of them are going to blow up when you make the disconnect because there's too much hydrogen gas there. So always, if you're charging a car and you're going right to the battery, put one connector to the battery, the hot side, and put the ground side to the door striker or something else metallic on the body at a distance from the battery. So, um, Ben Andrews says an elegant USB solution plugs into your battery tender plug behind your seat. Okay, and this is charging your car through the cigarette lighter, so that works out pretty good. Although at one point we've got a cigar lighter port, so it must be Ben has a Jaguar because in a Jag they don't have cigarette lighters, they have cigar lighters. So anyway, Jack Orkin, Adco is in Indiana, in Indiantown, Florida. Indiantown, Florida. And here we got an address. David Massey's given us an address. So that works out great. Marty's got an order form for the computer up here. Jim Riley says he can't stay on anymore. He's got to go. Um, MGA garbage can hubcaps for steel wheels. David Massey, what are you talking about here? David Massey was
They
on.
they were an accessory. The guy out of Kansas City had a gray. Well, I don't know. They were just full size hubcaps.
Oh, those.
Um,
Yeah. Just a
yeah,
minute.
the
And,
garbage can.
and they're different left and right. Um, because of the angle. Oh, come on. What are those called? Uh, yeah, that's a factory accessory. It's a factory accessory. Absolutely. I can't remember the name of those.
Like, I mean, they were referred to as garbage cans because that's what it looks like. The top of a
Okay.
garbage can, metal
Yep.
garbage can.
It had fins cut in them, left and right,
Yes. Yep. The fins. Yep.
around the outside.
What?
Gamblin had Rob Gamblin in
Okay.
Kansas City. He had him on a dove gray car. It was beautiful.
What were the real name of Arrow something? I bet it was Arrow something. God, I can't remember those. Yep, with a great big MG in the middle. Yeah, and they're like well, we didn't mention chrome wheel rims to go on row style rims to ruin the paint with the with the metal tags. Oh, what are those things called? I don't have my part. I don't have an MGA parts book here. MGB.
Ace Mercury.
Say again.
Ace Mercury.
Ace Mercury. Thank you. Why Ace Mercury? Why even that name? But anyway, yes, Ace Mercury. Thank you very much. That
Yes.
is, yep, that's the name of those garbage can hubcaps. Thanks. So Bill Cadden says for an emergency bonnet release, I ran a wire fishing leader out through the driver's wheel well through a wire grommet. It works great. So that works great on anything. If you've got a TR6, oh my gosh, you must. I know no one has a TR6 here because this is an MG forum, but if you know anyone, how's this? If you know anyone who has a TR6, my God, you've got to install one of those because when that breaks, oh my gosh, I got one open once, but oh my gosh. So
John,
yeah,
those Ace Mercury hubcaps, they don't just snap on. There's a piece that you bolt onto the lug nuts with a stud on it. That center octagon, spins on and tightens it.
okay.
You can find the hubcaps, but you can't find the connecting pieces. Because I ordered some out of Canada a few years ago. Oh, many years ago. He canceled my order because he didn't have the complete set.
Oh geez. I remember seeing a set of those at Toolman's in London when I worked there in 1970. I didn't work at Toolman's when I worked at University Motors in London, 1972. Tom Davis had us set them up there in boxes, factory boxes. You know, nobody wanted them then. I think only
I
one.
have I have one. I had one hanging in the kitchen, but Janet will not allow it in the new house.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Dean Webb, I'm confused. Do any chat questions not intended for everyone just come directly to you? So there's not necessarily in that order. No, no, um, um, no. The chat section is just open. It comes straight through. So, and Brad with a 52 TD says, here is an Amazon link for a voltmeter USB device that fits in an unused rocker switch. Oh my gosh. So here's what Brad has for us with that 52 TD. So when I'm through with the chat section, I'm going to restore just a minute, restore pictures there, everybody here, and then we'll open it up for some last comments here. And I'm going to go to gallery so I can see who's on. And does anyone have any other comments or questions?
What was that voltmeter you just mentioned? The voltmeter.
That's that was the last thing in this chat section, and it says it's a voltmeter USB device that fits in an unused rocker switch hole. So if you wanted to have a USB port, and I don't know what a USB voltage is, what, 5.5 or something bizarre. And it's also got a place for a voltmeter. You know that all the cars had ammeters because prior to the voltage regulator, you had to do it by hand. And so one eye was on the road and the other eye was on the ammeter. And if you were undercharging, you had to change your headlamp switch to a position that would allow more charging, or if it was charging too much, you had to cut the charging back so you wouldn't boil the battery dry. So you
Well,
had to
I
have
put a voltmeter.
what's
I put a
that?
voltmeter on my A. I put a voltmeter on my MGA.
Yep.
But it's analog. It's not a digital. But
Okay.
I tried to use the digital. It was just, I don't know if it was the voltage that went up and down, but it flickered.
Yeah.
If you use an analog one, so it has a needle, and I put it in a hole. I didn't have to drill a hole. It's on the just below the steering column.
Sure.
And it's about 2 inches square. And I've been looking for a very small analog voltmeter, so it would be out of the way and such, because I think that's very important, because you can watch I've got the generator positive voltage, and I just want to keep up with that.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
So after they got that automatic the RB340, then at that point it was no longer, because you had an ignition warning light that would illuminate usually when there was a problem. And you didn't need the ammeter, but they kept the ammeter in there through the TB and the TC and the TD and the TF, and it's just a problem waiting to happen. The TR6s have got a voltmeter. It's just a single little wire runs into the fuse box, and you just want to make sure it's sitting around 14 volts, all the time that the car's running. No greater, because that'll boil your battery dry, and not much less, because that means that your battery isn't getting recharged. But it's
But on a T-type, for instance, if you wanted to take the ammeter out, do you just connect the two wires together?
Yep.
Do you need? That's it.
That's
Just make
it.
sure it's well insulated.
Yep.
And
And
so
then
now
it's
you got
all,
a hole that you can put a handy round voltmeter in.
you could, sure. Sure. Yep. And you're just always watching for round 14. So that's why I tell people, you start the car up, turn the headlights on, take it up to 1500 RPM, and you should have 14 volts around there.
I had the same trouble the other gentleman did with digital. I'm old school. I like analog voltmeters. The digital, something about the way the regulator chatters to maintain the proper voltage output
Well,
makes
when
the digital voltmeter go crazy.
when you get when you look at the action of the RB340 voltage regulator, the points are closed and the voltage starts to spike. It climbs, gets up to 14, points break, charging goes back down to a couple volts. Points close, climbs, hits about 14, they open, goes back down to a couple volts. So it's doing that 60 times a second. So poor Mr. Digital Voltmeter, is like a confused gasoline pump or something. It just, yeah, it's that old school stuff, the moving coil, that's what they call them, the ones with the needles. A moving coil voltmeter is always preferred. Yeah, there must be some that dampen the voltage coming in, stabilize it. More expensive ones or something, but it's you can't use modern digital equipment when you're tuning the car. Glenn does. He's got scopes and all kinds of stuff. But um, gosh, you go to buy a dwell meter, it better have a moving needle on it, or a tachometer. Otherwise, it's like I'm back to the gasoline pump, watching those numbers scroll up and forward and back, and oh my gosh. So
John, something else I didn't mention before. For more room in the boot, we got one of those temporary spares. Went to Boneyard, matched it up, made
oh
sure it
yeah,
was the right
okay.
height and both paddle. I don't know what it came off of. It's Toyo brand, but that's the tire brand. But it gives me a lot more room in the boot, and I put it in upside down so I could put stuff inside
Sure,
the
sure.
wheel.
Just remember for an MGB, it's a 4.5, and MGA, it's a 4.5 inch bolt pattern. But MGA studs are 7/16 and MGB studs are half an inch. But if it's an emergency spare, as long as it works, that's what's important. So
I hope it works. I haven't had to use it yet, but it's still solid. It's holding air.
good, good, good.
John,
Yeah,
Norm
Norm.
Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, a report, a comment, and then a question. I finally got the alloy thermostat housing off my 77B. I have been using a thin 1 inch paint scraper and tapping it with a hammer, and I kept doing that, and I got a little, place I could put screwdrivers in. So I put one screwdriver on each of the three sides of the triangle to the studs and kept tapping them to kind of give even pressure to get it off, and finally got it off. So that was a success. But I did find out when I was finally getting my MG on the road this past summer that the distributor is frozen. I can't move it. But I have electronic ignition and the timing is set perfectly, so I don't need to move it. But if I ever need to move it, is there any way to do that?
Well, start today and spray around the base of the distributor. The shank of the distributor is aluminum. The block is steel, cast
Ah,
iron. So there you got some corrosion. And then if the heater control valve has ever leaked, most of them have at some point, then it drips, you get some water in there and it just makes it all worse. So you just keep spraying it until someday when you have to get it out. I had some channel locks that were, I don't know if I can get back far enough, but they were like that wide, great big monster channel locks. And so we go down there and grab it, grab the distributor with these channel locks. And the secret is not to let the channel locks move on the distributor because it scars up the outside. You got to bite it real tightly and then move it back and forth and back. And once you break it loose, then you just got to wiggle it until it comes out. I'm sure yours would come out if it had to. But just spray it down underneath there. Just spray it every time you have the bonnet open. Just have a can of W and just keep doing it. Someday, when you have to get it out or someone has to get it out, it'll come out.
okay, sounds good. Persistence.
Or yep, or oh, Bob, Gloria, what's it? What's the stuff you like? The penetrant?
Deep Creek. Ed's found it better than all the other
Deep,
things I've tried.
deep
Deep Creek.
creep. Yep.
It's made by Seafoam. I get it at Napa.
Okay.
And for some reason, it goes on sale a lot.
Okay.
And I added on to that when I'm putting this 195 thermostat in, does it do any good to put anti-seize on the studs?
Grease. Just gob it with grease. First of all, you got to take that.
Okay.
You got to take that aluminum housing that you ruined the bottom of with all those screwdrivers and stuff, and scratch it on a 100 grit sandpaper to make sure it's real nice and smooth again. Use a cork gasket.
Yes, I got a new one. They're only $10.
Oh, all right, okay. And anyway, use a cork gasket and grease the snot out of it. You put grease in the holes, grease on the studs, grease on everything, on the gasket, everything.
Well, I ordered the thermostat and gasket from Moss. And it was interesting, the gasket had to be specially made for the 77 or they wouldn't fit right. And they have them. They must have got somebody to make them.
Okay.
And, they're only $2, so that
Yep.
wasn't a bad deal.
Yep. Yep. You could use
Thank you.
you could use anti-seize there. You could. And then it will come off again in the future with no problem. But if you use
All right,
grease,
with the next owner.
yeah. Okay. And make sure, the disc on the thermostat has to have a hole in it somewhere around the circumference. Someplace there. They used to come like that. They had little tickler pins in them, but now they don't do that anymore. And so if you just put it in the way it is and go to fill up the radiator will fill up, but it'll compress air inside the engine block because the air can't get through the thermostat. So just eighth inch drill bit, just little some kind of little tiny hole there, and just so that it allows air to get from the bottom of the engine up into the top when you're refilling it.
Oh, great advice. Thank you.
I got a question on the thermostat.
Yes, sir.
What happens if you don't run a thermostat?
Well,
I think I took mine out years ago.
yeah, there's a lot of the cars in the South just don't even have one. But my the way I explain it is like the human body, right? The human body is designed to run at 98.6. And you get a couple degrees below or a couple degrees above, and the body isn't working like it should. Same with an engine. An engine's designed to run around 195. And if it's running too cold or too hot, crazy stuff can start to happen. So the thermostat does not control the top end of the temperature. It controls the bottom end. So it's going to run at least at the thermostat setting. But Glenn reminds me from Florida that you should always take your thermostat and put it into a pan on the stove before you install it, maybe when your wife isn't home or something, along with a thermometer, and make sure that it does open. Yeah, I mean, just physically, you can see it. I mean, there's no mystery what's going on at all. All of a sudden, you hit the temperature rating and pow, it opens right up. Make sure that it opens where it's advertised to open up, because the quality on the Stant thermostats isn't what it used to be.
Question for the group. Does anybody have issues with engine compartment high temperature? Mine would vapor lock the carburetor at a stoplight. If, like, for example, I turned it off after I just went to the store, and if I went to turn it back on, the carburetor would be literally vapor locked. I'd have to break the fuel line to get it to I don't know, start back up again.
Everybody has that problem. So you have to develop a starting technique, and very often, if you just hold your foot to the floor, hold it to the floor, and just crank and crank and crank and crank, it'll suck the boiling gasoline out of the float bowl, and it'll be replaced with cooler gasoline going in. And eventually it'll start and run like shit for 30 seconds, minute. And then once everything all comes back down to a reasonable temperature, it's okay. You can watch what's in the gasoline, although sometimes it's really hard. It's the alcohol in the gasoline that causes it to boil early. I mean, at a lower temperature. So if you can buy gasoline that's not got alcohol in it, depending on where you are, sometimes you can find that by going to pure-gas on an app on your phone. It'll tell you the closest station where you can buy it. It's, the SOBs charge you more for it, even though they're not out adding the alcohol. And sometimes winter mixes and summer mixes do or don't contain more or less alcohol. So You have to experiment around a little bit. Either you got to stay in the party store a little bit longer, or you got to come out faster. If you open the bonnet, let it ventilate, temperature comes right down, starts up okay. That's a hassle, of course. So, but everybody has that problem. You turn it off, go in the party store, come out 8 minutes later, and it will not start for love nor money. So as long as the battery's good, starter motor's good, put your foot to the floor, hold it there, crank at it. Eventually, it'll start up, or you can just wait.
I wrapped the headers this year too, so I'm going to see how it reacts this next summer. Might help.
I put in the chat, Joe Curto's got some little cozies that go over the bowls.
Yes.
Keep from boiling off.
Yeah. Yep. That's yes, that can help. But once that under bonnet temperature rises so much, it's just hard to. In that gasohol boils at such a low temperature. Glenn was having a hard time. He called me up one day just out of his mind. He was so frustrated because he was driving an MGC and those things run real hot under the bonnet anyway. And he said he'd be sitting at the stoplight and it'd kill. That's it. Wouldn't restart. So traffic's got to drive around him. And oh man, what a hassle. So he found out this was 4 years ago, something or other. And they had a winter blend. I know there's no winter in Florida, but they had a winter blend of gasoline in Florida that did not have alcohol in it. It was a high test gasoline. It happened to be that season that manufacturer, something or other, didn't put the gasoline in, or didn't put the alcohol in. And he put in the other gasoline. It worked perfectly. So.
John, we've done a lot of desert driving, been to Death Valley a couple times, never had that problem. But I always use a brand name gas. I don't use some off brand, and I always use premium. And we now it'll probably this summer we'll probably have it, but we haven't had that problem yet.
Well, there's
John?
Yes.
One accessory I put in my 79B was a heater control valve from Vintage Air. It's a servo heater valve.
Okay.
Works great. And I had to have a block made for the original valve attached with a 1/2-inch pipe thread in it. And then find some piping, etc. Someone had most of what I needed, but works great.
There are a number of aftermarket heater control valves I've seen, all the way from like an early midget, which is just got a little tap on the top. You just unscrew it. David knocked. Healy's had those, didn't they? A little knurled top.
The bug eye has the same as the midget.
Yep.
And then the big Healy's got that looks like a radiator drain tap that, as well as your valve inside.
In
but on the fuel,
yes,
on the fuel issue, Driven Oil has a really good product that kills ethanol.
Okay. Driven Oil.
Driven Racing Oil. It's Joe Gibbs.
Yeah.
Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yep.
So, because I use all of their products for engine oil and engine building and everything else, but they have, I'd have to go grab a bottle of it here in the shop, but it's an additive to put in your fuel that negates the ethanol effect.
Okay.
And
it's called carb
it really works well if you've got like gasoline motors for your lawnmower and your snowmobile and all the rest that don't want to start. It works really good in that stuff as well.
Okay.
John?
Yes, sir. Owen. Oh, no. Barry. No. All right. Well, we're down to it. So.
Yeah. Hey, John. The other thing you're talking
David.
about safety issues and things, I put inertia fuel cutoffs on all the Heelys for the fuel pump.
Okay.
The same idea as the late B had, but I put a power cutoff, inertia cutoff on anything with an electric fuel pump.
Okay.
It also works good for security. You can smack it and it dislocates the pump and the car won't start.
Yep. Yeah. The other way out of that is to put a secret switch on your fuel pump, which 68 through 76 MGB, if you don't have overdrive, you got the switch on the column. You can hook your fuel pump to that and just turn the fuel pump off when you don't when you're not driving. And then if somebody who can drive a clutch, who wants to steal an MGB, who can get through the steering lock, only gets a quarter mile down the road before it runs out of gas, and they're not going to open up the bonnet and start fixing it. So yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what
It's
happens
a
when you
safety issue.
accidentally bump that stalk while you're driving?
Well, then you tell the date, you tell your date, oh, geez, honey, I just ran out of
This
gas.
is a pretty spot. Why don't we stay here a
I
little
guess
while?
we're gonna have to sit here and tell stories for a while. Yeah.
Good night, John. Thank you very much. Great.
So, John, what was your comment about TR6s you made a little while ago?
TR6 is about the safety switch for the bonnet release.
Yeah, was that what it was? Just having the extra bonnet release in case the
Right.
cable.
So you poke a hole, you drill a hole next to the passenger's left knee and take a coat hanger. I mean, this is the crudest way of all, but it is a TR6. So you take a piece of wire and you put it on the latch and you bring it into the inside of the car and put something on it that you can pull and practice it a couple times so you're sure it's working. But it'll sit up above the your passenger's knees and they won't even know it's there. And the day that your bonnet cable slips, breaks, pops off, you can still get the bonnet open.
Okay, got it.
Critical on all
Hey, John,
TR6s.
John, just a quick question for you. I've got a parts car, and in the back of it, I found an old pan head gasket set in the wrapper.
Nice.
I have no idea how old it is. It could be 25 or 30 years old. Would you bother with it?
Sure. Head gasket's good. The valve cover gasket's corked. That might have shrunk up a little bit. But yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. In you can revive any paper gasket. Where would there be a paper gasket? The heater control valve. You can revive any paper gasket by putting it into a pan with some water, just letting it soak. It will restore it to its full size, So yeah,
Okay, well, thanks very much.
you're very welcome. Well, it's 9:30, ladies, gentlemen. It's been a real nice talk about accessories. I think the one that surprised me the most was I mean, there are a lot of stuff I'd forgotten about, like the bra on the front of the MGBs. I remember selling those. Was the combo mirror and radio antenna for the MGA? It wasn't for the MGA. It came from a Volkswagen or something, but I'd never heard of anything like that. That's pretty fascinating. So anyway, thanks to everybody. Thank you, Marty, for keeping track of everything here. And
Good night, John.
Thank you, John. Have a head count if you want it.
we'll see everybody. We'll see everybody.
What was the head count?
Head count.
Yeah.
I saw 184. Doug saw 185, and I recorded 188 names. So somewhere in that 185 sounds good.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for asking. So
yeah, Doug gave me a note before he left.
great. Thanks. All All right. So everyone, thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure. You can always,
Right.
if you're in a jam, you want to know something, give me a call. I'm happy to answer your questions. Almost always I'm able to pick up the phone, and when I can't, I
It's
almost
nice.
almost always call back. So anyway, thank you very much for your support. Go take a look at that PayPal link. You know, make your contribution. I don't want to sound like a beggar, but I sound like, are those signs still up on what runs from New York City down to Florida? Is that 95?
Yeah.
Yep. The 95 and 75 used to have all those signs for starving Marvins. Starving Marvins. It looked like a hillbilly with a sign. He's holding a sign that says, "Stop, I need your business." Anyway, um,
Was it Spokane
take
we had the
take a
heating?
moment and
Yeah,
click the PayPal button. So, thank you very, very
I
much,
put a
everyone.
post on Facebook that it was Small Business Saturday. We qualify for that. And then I called today MG Monday. And so, yeah, plenty of reasons to give this week.
Okay.
That's excellent.
All right.
You see the signs, people out of work. We were in Spokane. There was a guy, long-haired guy, sitting by the entrance ramp on the interstate with the big sign that said "Hippie needs beer." If
There.
I'd had a beer, I would have given him one.
There. Yeah.
The
No.
honest beggar.
Yeah. The honest beggar. Well, yeah, that's me too. So remember, if he's not bleeding, if he's not wounded, there's the wound there. If he's not wounded, where's the stitches there? You know, if he,
Oh,
if he's not scabbed, if he's not scarred, I keep saying he, I know there are women in the trade now too. Or they have clean fingernails. Mine are, I didn't have a chance to clean up after work today. Um, he's not a mechanic, he's just a poser. So anyway. Anyway.
ham-fisted American mechanic.
Although my tool man, I ran that on my tool man because I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting, line. He goes, "You haven't met modern mechanics, so that they don't get dirty, They're just doing all electronic stuff." I rent from a body shop. I rent an outbuilding, a couple of buildings away from the main body shop, and they throw away all the plastic. They keep all the steel. They keep all the wire. They keep all the specific stuff, and they've got it sorted into piles. And once, twice a year, they'll load up these huge trailers and take it down to the junkyard to get rid of it. Well, the other day there was a trailer and it had electronics, and there were motherboards that big that when you took apart your 486 computer back in the day and looked at the motherboard. I mean, this thing that looked just like it, more complicated, than those motherboards. And that stuff comes out of cars. No wonder that the cars can, any modern car can outperform an MG. I know that they won't outperform a Healy, but no, I said that for David, but maybe he's already David. Maybe he's already checked out. Anyway, that's how they do it. By switching all this stuff around. It's just amazing. Anyway, I could keep talking, but I'm getting hoarse. So anyway, I'll look forward to seeing everybody in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Drive your MG if you're in
Thank
a
you. You.
good place. And Judd, it's always a pleasure to have you there because you drive your MG all the time. Bob and Gloria drive theirs more, but not for 5 months out of the year. So okay.
Yeah, at
All right.
least.
Ian, nice
But
to
it makes
see
the
you.
spring nice.
I should ask who the youngest person is. Ian, you take that. I'm just
I
sure.
probably would take that. Yeah.
Yeah, but
We
then
have a 17-year-old coming up, though. We have a high school student
Okay.
who was given a midget.
Oh
And
boy,
so
well,
we
I've got some
found him
competition.
shop space in Grand Rapids, and then they needed a trailer, and somebody else offered that, so we're hooking him up.
Hey, that's great. I love
Yeah.
to see that. I really I'm starting to get desperate here. I need some other people. Need to have a little bit more relation. But oh my gosh, I'm always grateful for everybody. John is always a absolute well of information. So it's
you're-
always good to see everybody. I'm glad to be here. And
You're very
it's funny,
kind.
John. I am now convinced that it is, in fact, my transmission that was making that noise because I replaced my slave cylinder and it was still going, and my clutch feels fine now. So I'm not convinced it's my clutch, and so I have a feeling that I maybe have some synchronizers that are going out, or there's just something wrong in the gearbox.
Yeah, we'll keep talk to me about it again. Oh, and I
Yeah.
forgot. I see Jim Pastor still on. I will be at the Central Pennsylvania British Car Fest the 32nd. Is that correct this year, Jim?
The 32nd.
I'm waiting for Jim to unmute himself. There
I'm
we
sorry.
go.
It is, let me make sure, it's the
It is
28th.
No, it's the 32nd annual.
Oh, yeah.
Not the
32nd. I thought you were
February.
saying the 32nd of August. I think that's what Bob was laughing at, right, Bob?
Yeah.
What is the date?
It's going to be the 28th, 29th, and 30th, but John's going to do 31st and 1st. He's going to stay over 2 days.
We're putting our
31st and the 1st.
calendar together. I needed the date. This is the front of their new calendar.
Oh yeah,
So-
great.
Yes.
Yep.
So it is truly the last weekend in August.
29, 30.
And
I have to be
it
careful when I say that.
immediately follows the
Sandusky.
MG 2026 in Sandusky.
And then immediately following that is our vacation. We're going to be busy.
You know, John, we need you down here in Georgia for the Dillards this year in September.
Hey,
What's
who
the
knows?
date?
Maybe, All right.
What's the date of the Dillard show?
I think that's going to be the 10th to the 13th of 2026.
10th through the 13th.
Okay, we'll look it up. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll be the vice president of the Peachtree MG Registry come around January.
Okay.
So
We
I've
need
accepted that position, and I'll be running that as the vice president in that certain capacity of that event.
And that's
So that'll be fun.
It's a great
September.
event.
Oh, September. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, and we need more young blood.
Yeah, and
There's a
it
few
was
of you.
an overwhelming win. I really didn't have very many opponents,
Nope.
but everybody loved the idea of myself and my club here in Georgia being the vice president. So
Maybe
that kind of
nobody
worked
else
out.
wanted the job.
Yeah, nobody else wanted. They'd all been the president and vice president 4 times already.
Yep. Yep. All right. Hey,
Hey,
that's
always
it.
great fun, John.
All right. Thanks again. Good night.
See y'all.
Good night.
See you next
Good night, John.